Hello, I'm Robert Palacios, your candidate for City Council District 4. Thank you for joining me today. We're speaking about a very important topic, public safety. I'm joined by Mike Tellez, owner of the Dream Center and candidate for mayor. Mike, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thank you, Robert. How are you doing?
Very good.
Well, we have 7 days to go in this race.
We do. It's
7 days.
Moving along, and there's still a lot of important issues to get out there to speak about.
Absolutely.
And to cover. And today we're talking about public safety.
That is my number one issue.
And throughout my platform, I've been speaking about sitting across the table and communicating. And when we sat down and spoke about what needs to happen in our city as far as mental health, public safety, drug addiction, different issues, it really resonated with me. And I wanted to bring you in and talk a little bit more about that.
All right.
So we know June was probably one of the worst months in our community
Yes.
as far as shootings.
Yes.
And I was at the city council meeting and they were speaking about it being related to drugs. In your opinion, what kind of issues do we have with drugs in our community?
Well, I spoke with the chief of police, and the June murders, 5 murders in June, we're 110% up in violent crimes this year over last year. He said 92% of the crime in our city is drug related. We're number one in the nation on domestic, residential burglary and theft. Number one. Our crime index is an 8. That means 92% of the cities in America this size are safer than us. El Paso, who's on the border, 1 million people, have a 26 index. Mm-hmm. So that just tells you the difference in the indexes from one city to the next. Santa Teresa, who has experienced some of the biggest boom in New Mexico, their index is right at about 36. But we're sitting at 8. That crime is affecting everything about our city.
Now, something that we spoke about was starting from the ground up, and that starts with community police officers. I remember growing up, you know, you'd see officers on bicycles going through the community, mm-hmm. and I don't want to see the first encounter that a citizen in our community has is because of an issue, whether you're being burglarized, domestic violence. I think our police should be in our community, reaching out to individuals and have a face-to-face interaction before there's an issue.
You know that when I talked to the police chief, we talked about community policing, and they're short officers right now, and that's kind of holding them back from doing what they can be doing. There are 20. He said if they had 20 officers, that'd go a long ways. It'd put 5 on each shift and 5 detectives. One thing we talked about was the community policing, events in the communities, and assigning officers to a community. One of the ideas, one of the plans I have is to have enough police officers to where you have police officers assigned to every community, and that is their neighborhood. They don't switch out, they don't change out, that is them. They belong to that neighborhood, and they spend their time going out and meeting every single person that lives in that neighborhood. You know, they can set up block parties and get to know the neighborhood and build a relationship and help them be better, more vigilant at what they're doing to look out for crime and what to look for and what to do.
Now, you and I are a lot of like, I had the Las Cruces Mariachi Conservatory working with youth, and of course you have the programs at the Dream Center.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that and the experience with working in the youth that you've had?
I sure can. Our boxing program is going on, it's 4 years old. It's Joe Hidalgo, he's a retired Mayfield High School teacher. 4 years ago, somebody came up to me and said, there's a man named Joe that's teaching kids how to box out of his garage. And they said, and it's cold, but he's still teaching them. And I said, call him in time to come over here. I'll give him a spot. Joe came in. I said, here's a spot right here. Will that work? He said, oh, it'll be a blessing. He came in and they had a makeshift ring with rope and some poles. And I said, make me a dream list. He made me a dream list. I contacted Cherry Creek in Colorado, some friends I have up there working, and I said, we need a gym. We sent the list up to them, and sure enough, a truck pulls up, they unload their gym, come out of there. Those kids were so excited, man. Wow. And he's got a full-blown gym going in there. He's got several state champions. He has a young lady, 15 years old, Ariana Carrasco. She is the national champion. She was the youngest girl in New Mexico history to be invited to the Olympics. She went to Olympic training facility in Poland in September. And this young lady is a straight A student. Her dad, they live right around the corner, and her dad took her in and started working with her 4 years ago, and today she's a champion. And that's an example of what happens when you have a facility that parents can take their kids to and work with them. We brought the mariachis in, which you know all these guys.
I do.
They came in last August, and they needed a place. They could not find anybody that would allow them to go in, because, you know, these programs don't have money. They have a vision, they have passion, but they don't have the money to do it. So I told them, just come in and do it. Do what you do. And do it until you find a good facility you can go to. And they went a year, and I saw those kids blossom to no end. 7-year-old kid playing the violin, singing. It was beautiful. And thank God that they were invited to go into Holy Cross and be the program for the school.
Yeah.
So that was a blessing, because we bring these organizations in, we give them a place to start so that one day they can go out on their own. And we've had several that have been able to go out and stand alone.
Now, what I'm focusing on is building the next generation. And that starts with me stepping up and running for city council. But what kind of programs or need do we have in our community to support our youth, whether they're having trouble with school, they get into drug addiction, into the wrong crowd? Do we have enough in Las Cruces?
You know, we don't. We're lacking in a lot of areas for school-age kids. There are some, but we are lacking. We're lacking opportunity for these kids, and right now we're using a model that's outdated in the school system. And you know, it's not the teacher's fault. It's not the school's fault. It's just they've not adjusted to your generation and the Z generation, which is a generation in there right now, and it just needs adjustment. And it's something that I believe, as a community, we could work together with the school. I met with the superintendent. We had a good talk about how we can move forward to create a workforce. I spoke to the new chancellor at NMSU, awesome man, Mr. Arvizo. He is excited. He's from this area. And I talked to the president of Dona Ana Community College, another wonderful person. But I asked him, could we all work together, the city, the universities, the school system, and try to find a way to help the schools, help them create another generation help with this new generation of workforce. They need help. We can't depend on the school to do everything. We're a community.
Yeah.
They're taking care of our kids. We need to all participate in helping get our kids through school.
I agree, and there needs to be more opportunities.
Absolutely.
After-school programs,
Absolutely.
athletics, whether it's the cultural arts, whether it's getting out there playing sports or getting into boxing. I really think that step one is keeping our youth busy and active.
Yes, and we need to support programs like the soccer program. They definitely need to be supported. We need to support them so they can grow up, as soccer, it's huge in this area and culturally fit. And we need to back our soccer programs up they're year-round. And that is a great athletic. For those who are not really into soccer, we need to open up facilities, whether the city owns them, and let people go in and start programs. Our city, it's too hard to help in this city. The city needs to reach out to the programs and the good ideas that are in the city and say, you know what, we have these facilities here. If you have a good idea for a good program, we welcome you to come in here. We'll back you up, and you do what you do.
I agree, 100%. Now, as far as our youth being safe in school, this includes gun violence. What are opportunities that you feel the city has moving forward and making sure our schools are safe?
Well, one thing is we have to educate our schools on what to do in crisis, how to respond, what to do. Another thing we do is we retire city buses on a regular basis. We need to get those city buses and convert them into mobile substations and put those buses at some of these schools and have a mobile substation right at that school. The police officers, you know, they're in middle school and high school, and what they're doing is just kind of trying to keep order. Well, we need to bring the policemen into the elementary school, and not necessarily to keep order, but start building a relationship with these kids in first grade, so they see a policeman as someone there to help them, someone they respect, someone they can talk to. The policemen got to we need to help the respect come back to our police force. And if they're in there for the first 5 grades, those kids met them, they know them, they like them. Now, what we do is when these kids go to middle school, well, what police do you think we ought to put in the middle school? The ones they were in elementary with. Move them up. So as we pass our kids in the middle, let's pass the policemen up to middle so that these kids have someone they trust. I think the key for young people today is the public they've blasted the police force and they've given them a bad image and a bad name, and we need to help let these kids know those policemen are out there to protect them. They're the only ones that are running in when the bullets are flying and not running out.
Correct. And I think it's overall an issue, like we spoke a little bit about earlier, is that the resources aren't there. Our police force is short.
Yes.
We're not competitive within the state. We're 6th as far as salary. We have to be competitive as far as salaries. We have to bring in the resources. And for me, as a city councilman, that's sitting down and going to the police chief or the fire chief and saying, what is it that you need? What resources are you lacking?
Yes.
At the last one of the public safety meetings that the city council held with both chiefs, the fire chief mentioned a mobile crisis unit.
Yes.
And building that so that when we know we have these at-risk individuals in our community, we're using our resources wisely, where the police department doesn't necessarily need to go out. So how can we move forward as far as getting those resources?
Well, those substations, I'm talking to the police, are mobile crisis centers also. They're large buses. They act as both of them. We definitely need to get the policemen hired that are needed. We need to get them 7 or 8. We need to get them as many new cars as they need to where they have dependable transportation. And you know what? I believe our policemen should rank 1 or 2 highest paid. If we want them to stay, if we want to establish a police force that stays and goes the long run, we need to pay them right. And I think if they're the first or second highest paid, where are they looking to go then? Nowhere. They're right where they need to be, and they're starting at the pay that will sustain them and, give them a quality of life here.
Yeah. Last time I saw some of the officers out, we're building a younger task force. And I think part of incentivizing new recruits is maybe they have the take-home car program.
Yes.
But how about providing some educational opportunities?
I believe that, and there is an education opportunity for them. But first, we need to pay them right so that they are at the mindset that I'm going to stay here. Then we will offer them the education, which NMSU. Let them go get an associate's, and the city cover that for associate's degree. And I think they ought to go to the communication department at NMSU and just learn about the different types of personalities out there, learn what mental health issues are out there, and learn to know who they're talking to. My master's is in communication, and what I learned about who I'm talking to, it made all the difference in the world. But we do need to offer them schooling, and we need to offer them an incentive that if they're willing to live in an at-risk neighborhood, we would rent their house, we would pay their rent, we would pay their utilities, we'd help them furnish it, would make sure it was in nice shape, let them take their car home, and they'd live in the neighborhood they're patrolling.
That's some great ideas. Now, when we come back, you said mental health, and that's important to public safety. And so when we come back, we'll be covering and speaking about mental health. I'm Robert Palacios, running for City Council District 4 here with Mike Tellez.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
I'm Robert Palacios, and I'm running to represent you in District 4 on Las Cruces City Council. I'm passionate about our community and want to do my part as the next generation, building a successful pathway for the future of Las Cruces. Join me on the Candidates Forum live on the Las Cruces Channel Facebook page Sunday at 8 p.m. Thank you.
Horizon Granite is here. We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here.
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Welcome back. I'm Robert Palacios, your candidate for District 4 City Council, here with Mike Tellez, the owner of the Dream Center and candidate for mayor. We're talking about public safety, and as I said before, we're going to talk a little bit about mental health in our community. Mike, do we have the resources for either juveniles or adults right now in Las Cruces for mental health?
Right now, there is no long-term treatment for mental health or substance abuse. I had some young men come in and young ladies, and they said, if we could get help, we'd check in today. And in April, I said, okay, I'll get your place to check into right now. I looked, and there was nothing in Las Cruces, and there was no place in the state of New Mexico at that time that had an available spot. So I said, we need a long-term facility in the second largest city in the state. Mm-hmm. We need that facility here for mental health, substance abuse. Now, I talked to the president of La Clinica, and we discussed long-term and where we'd put it. And I said, well, what are your thoughts about long-term state-of-the-art place, not just something that gets us by? And he said, that'd be a dream. And I said, and I know that you're wondering about the overhead cost. Well, there are billions of dollars in grants. Mm-hmm. When I talked to the head of the universities, the schools, and La Clinica, I said, how about if the city, all of us, you as well, would all sit down and start finding a way to apply for every grant there is and get every single institution to put their smartest grant writers together to build that facility to where the overhead is little or none. And then, instead of pay, they pay $26,000 a month for that unit in downtown area. Yeah. A large unit would be in the millions. So we'd get that to where the overhead would be down to nothing. And I told him, then you could use the resources on reaching people out there that may not have the insurance. They may not have enough insurance, or they may not have a deductible. You'll be able to get out there and reach everyone. The goal is to reach every single person that is in need with mental health or substance abuse. Mental health, 50% of it leads to substance abuse, self-medicating. Remember, 92% of our crime is related to substance abuse. If we tackle those two issues, what we're doing is we're tackling the root cause of crime. So what happens is, as time goes on, the crime will naturally start moving down. And of course, our index will go up, and it'll be a lot more inviting for industry and businesses to move here. Good paying industry that pays you a livable wage.
Mike, everything I've been talking about along my campaign is education, workforce, economic growth, public safety. All these things have a balance that needs to occur, and things will move. Yes,
absolutely. And along. Workforce that's another important one. You know that I was talking to the La Clinica, and he said, it's hard to staff. And I went to the school district, and I asked the superintendent, I said, our workforce is sitting in the school. What if we were to get these students and allow them to go to DACC and take welding, electrical, paint and body, plumbing and heating, and let them go to that starting in 10th grade, 3 days a week, to where they're learning a trade? There's a lot of people in there that don't want to be in class. You just got to, long time, 10 years ago, okay. But There's a lot of people that don't want to be there. They don't want to go to college. I didn't want to go to college, but they would love to go to a trade school. Imagine graduating high school and being a licensed electrician. 80, 90,000 a year graduating. That would give the people who don't want to be there an incentive to stay in school and get that degree. It would free our classrooms up of people who don't want to be there so that we could focus on the ones that are there. Focus on getting them heading in the direction of nursing. Any business that's thinking of coming here, that would be what we start focusing on so that when they graduate and go to college, they are already set on a career path. Economic development said you get the crime, education, health care in order, we can get some industry in here. So what we do is the businesses that want to come here will work with the university. The last semester at the university, they will train for the company they're getting ready to walk into. They graduate from college. Imagine you graduate from college and step into a high-paying job. You know, Intel left Albuquerque because they didn't have a workforce.
And I really do believe that that's the best incentive you can offer
Absolutely.
to a business is saying, look, we have the education, we have the workforce.
Yes.
Why do you need to come to Las Cruces? Look, we have a product coming straight out of school for you, and that's what we have to offer.
We're going to customize. They're going to be customized all the way to walk in your door, turnkey day one. Cost of living is very good down here. We got a lot of available area up in the West Mesa. It'd be they'd like to come down here.
Well, industrial parks in District 4.
Exactly.
And last week I was talking about our aerospace technology. If we could bring in that industry, and part of building the economy and the workforce is education.
That's right. And if we could, the economic development told me, if we had a 7-year plan to staff them with all the employees and all the engineers they need, that would suffice it. So we have a strong 7-year plan with our engineer department to staff them with engineers. Well, if you go to a potential engineer and say, if you come to our university, you will have a job when you step out right there. That is what an incentive for our university.
It is. So we kind of got off topic. Bringing us back in, how much does traffic and our streets affect public safety?
It affects it a lot, and it affects it a lot right now because there's 3 major construction projects going on at the same time on our 3 busiest streets. So naturally, there is no street you can go down that you're not going to run into problems with traffic. That's all, and it's a lot of state work, so there's not a lot we can do, but what that is a result of is not properly planning. In the very initial stages of these projects, they need to sit at the table and say, we would like any main avenue done 24/7. Go to El Paso at 3 in the morning, you're going to see construction going on. Go to Arizona, you'll see it going on. They work 24/7 to get it done. Valley would be complete if they followed that.
So something I'm looking at is an integrative traffic system and potentially a traffic control center where we can monitor traffic issues throughout the state. And I know it entails a lot of money, but we were talking about finding grants and building our city. And really, what we love about Las Cruces is it has that small town feel.
Yes.
Everybody cares for each other. When something happens, the community comes together and finds ways to support each other. That's what's very unique and wonderful about Las Cruces.
That integrated traffic system? Do you know if there was a lot of traffic one direction, not two? They could change the lights from that system.
Yeah.
They could say, let's run green on this side and clear all that out, and they could control the stoplights.
Exactly. And I mean, you cut down road rage, you cut down drive time. That helps our economy because we have less sitting traffic at lights. And the way I look at it, the more money I have that I'm not spending on gas, the more disposable income I have to put into our community.
Exactly. And you know that in Las Vegas has that. When an emergency vehicle's going down the street, they turn all the lights red so that they can go straight down the middle all the way through.
Yeah, and as we grow, we have to grow in certain ways and be creative in how we're improving the system. And really, I mean, just based off what we've said here is having an integrative traffic system would help with public safety, with road rage, with sustainability as far as putting CO2 emissions into our ozone. And so that's something that I really like to focus on going in, is more on traffic and that public safety aspect. When I sat down with the fire department, I had firefighters from the Valley Drive station, and I said, "What issues do you have with the construction?" And they said, "We don't know if we open our doors if we're going to be able to get out, if we're going to have access." And that's not okay.
It is not.
When when construction creates a public safety issue, we got to figure out how to improve it.
How are we going to respond? You know that in Sonoma, they got that new fire station, police station combination. What I'd like to see go into your district on Valley is them to build a fire station, which they have funding for, but put that nice police station there like they have in Sonoma with a community room, and put it right there so that we got the latest building right there on Valley for police, fire, state police, sheriff, whoever wants to work out of that hub. And the other one could be used as a substation.
The other things that I've noticed now that it's getting later in the year, as I'm door knocking, there's no lighting. We got to light up our streets.
Yeah. We do.
That gives opportunity for criminal activity.
There are too many dark streets out there, and unpaved streets.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate it. It's about sitting down at the table
and
working together. And
Robert, I believe that we get in there. I believe we'll have no problem working together and taking Las Cruces to the next level, man.
Very true. I'm Robert Palacios, here with Mike Tellez. Thank you for joining us today, covering public safety. Head over to the Las Cruces channel's YouTube and see many candidates forums to help educate you on who your first choice vote is going to be. And I ask for your first choice vote November 5th. Thank you. I'm Robert Palacios, and I approve this message. Carissa Avila, Treasurer.